decision if, because now the young guys, young contenders are waiting. And when you're an athlete, you have a window. If you pass that window, not good. So I think it's on the UFC now to take the decision, give Jon Jones what he wants, or move on.
What would you do if you're in Tom Aspinall's shoes?
Yeah, Tom is a bad situation for him because he's stuck and he wants to be, he wants to be champion. He's young and hungry. I understand. I think it's the UFC needs to do something. That the pressure needs to be on the UFC.
Georges St-Pierre sends a clear warning message to the UFC brass. Give Jon Jones what he wants or move on. The welterweight legend isn't mincing words as the Jon Jones vs. Tom Aspinall saga continues to divide the MMA world. Tonight, we'll break down GSP's explosive comments, analyze why he believes Aspinall could be Jones's toughest test yet, and examine the growing pressure on Dana White to make a decisive move. Plus, we'll dive into Jones's controversial comparison of himself to the Canadian icon and why it's backfiring spectacularly.
I would love to watch Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Jon Jones probably the greatest to ever done it. Is Tom Aspinall as the solution to crack the code? That's maybe the question that everyone wants to find out.
Stay tuned as we unpack this heavyweight drama that has the entire MMA community talking. Let's start with the bombshell comments from Georges St-Pierre that have everyone talking. In a recent interview with the Schmo, the former two-division champion didn't hold back when discussing the ongoing Jon Jones situation. GSP made it crystal clear the UFC needs to stop playing games and make a decision. Here's what he said, and I quote, "They need to take the decision because now the young guys, young contenders, are waiting. When you're an athlete, you have a window. If you pass that window, not good."
To see what they want to do, they need to take the decision if, because now the young guys, young contenders are waiting. And when you're an athlete, you have a window. If you pass that window.
This isn't just casual commentary, folks. This is one of the most respected voices in MMA history calling out the promotion's handling of their heavyweight division. GSP continued. So I think it's on the UFC now to take the decision, give Jon Jones what he wants or move on.
I think it's on the UFC now to take the decision, give Jon Jones what he wants or move on,
Think about this for a moment. GSP himself vacated the middleweight title in 2017 rather than hold up the division when he couldn't defend due to health issues. He told Bloody Elbow, "I didn't want to hold the belt because I think it's disrespectful for the other competitors." The contrast is stark. While GSP stepped aside for the good of the sport, Jones appears to be using the heavyweight title as leverage in contract negotiations. And according to Ariel Helwani's reporting, Jones initially accepted the UFC's terms before going back on his word. GSP's message is clear. The pressure should be on the UFC, not the fighters waiting in line. As he put it, the pressure needs to be on the UFC now.
I would love to watch Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Jon Jones probably the greatest to ever done it. Is Tom Aspinall as the solution to crack the code? That's maybe the question that everyone wants to find out.
Now, let's talk about why Georges St-Pierre is so excited about a potential Jones versus Aspinall matchup. GSP didn't just call for the UFC to act, he explained why this fight is so compelling. In his conversation with the Schmo, Jon Jones is probably the greatest to ever do it, and Tom Aspinall has the solution to crack the code. That's maybe the question that everybody wants to find out.
I would love to watch Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Jon Jones probably the greatest to ever done it. Is Tom Aspinall as the solution to crack the code? That's maybe the question that everyone wants to find out. I like Islam Makhachev, Elias Topuria. I like Mirad. Kamaru Usman just fought. I like to watch him. I like to watch also Khamzat Chimaev. A lot of good guys now.
Do you think this is huge, people? GSP is essentially saying that after all these years of Jones looking invincible, Aspinall might have the key to solving the Jon Jones puzzle. But what makes the Englishman so dangerous? Tom Aspinall brings a unique combination of speed, power, and finishing ability that we haven't seen Jones face at heavyweight. At 6'5" with an 85-inch reach, Aspinall matches Jones physically, but potentially surpasses him in explosiveness and knockout power.
Aspinall's a freak. Even Francis, who's like the greatest, scariest power striker I've ever seen in the heavyweight division. No one's scarier than Francis. Francis does not move like Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is significantly faster than every other heavyweight. But Jon has been used to fighting guys like Alexander Gustafsson, guys who are really fast at light heavyweight. So the speed is not going to be as much of an adjustment. He fought Lyoto Machida. Machida was a lightning bolt, man. And he caught Jon a bunch of times. But then there's the thing of getting caught by Lyoto Machida is not like getting caught by 255-pound Tom Aspinall.
The interim heavyweight champion has finished 7 of his last 8 fights, with most ending in the first round. His ground game is elite, his striking is devastating, and perhaps most importantly, he's in his athletic prime while questions linger about Jones's age and activity level. GSP recognizes what many fans see. This isn't just another fight for Jones. This could be the ultimate test of whether Bones can adapt to face a new generation of heavyweight talent. Speaking of Jon Jones, let's address the elephant in the room. On the Full Send podcast, Jones made some bold claims about modeling his career after Georges St-Pierre, but the MMA community isn't buying it, and for good reason. Jones said, "I really wanted to model my career after him, and I think I did." He praised GSP's professionalism, his suits, his meaningful entourage, all valid points about GSP's character. But here's where it gets interesting.
My first several fights were GSP cards. Like, I was an undercard guy, and just being around him, man, he inspired me so much. I saw his professionalism. I saw the way that he dressed. You know, he was one of the first guys who had suits on. I saw that he had meaningful men around him, not just a big entourage, but like everybody on his squad had a big purpose. And I really wanted to model my career after him. I think I did.
The fans were quick to call out the comparison, and the responses were brutal. One fan wrote, "You definitely didn't GSP fought anyone anytime." Another pointed out, "I've never heard anyone say anything bad about GSP." And that's the crux of the issue. While both fighters conquered 2 divisions, their legacies couldn't be more different. GSP fought every contender put in front of him. He never ducked a fight, never held up a division, and retired on his own terms while riding a 13-fight winning streak.
There is a signature to strip Jon Jones.
I saw
petition.
that. Did you sign it?
That's
You
over
signed it, didn't
70,000.
You signed it, didn't you?
I did.
I'm gonna search the database.
I didn't search it.
I'm gonna find your email on there.
But dude, that's 70,000 signatures.
Man, it's annoying.
Jones, on the other hand, has been stripped twice. Once for a hit-and-run incident, once for positive drug tests. He's currently being accused of holding up the heavyweight division by refusing to fight the interim champion. As one fan brutally summarized, "Nah, he kept his dignity at the end of his career and retired when he didn't want to fight anymore." The comparison reveals more about what Jones wishes his legacy was, rather than what it actually is. GSP commanded universal respect through his actions. Jones is fighting for his reputation while seemingly avoiding his biggest test. While this drama unfolds, let's not forget about the collateral damage. The entire heavyweight division is in limbo.
I guess the clarifying question then is, if Dana and Hunter do come to you after this fight, the figures make sense to you, would you then be open to fighting Tom Aspinall, or are you categorically thinking, he does nothing for me, I will not fight that guy?
He does nothing for me. He does nothing for me. If you're a person that wants to see me really challenged, then I get it. 7 years younger, like 35 pounds bigger than me, right? I get it. It's like, wow, this Jon's so good. We finally found someone way younger and way bigger than him. Let's see how he does against that. I get that narrative. But for me, if you were my manager, if you were on my team, why not fight against Pereira, a guy who's the same age as you, and we walk around the same exact size? Business-wise, it makes more sense. I'm going to call him this, fight the nobody that may be more dangerous, or fight the guy with all the accolades who's incredibly dangerous, but it actually will affect your legacy.
Tom Aspinall sits as interim champion, having knocked out Sergey Pavlovich and Curtis Blades in devastating fashion. He's doing everything right, staying active, finishing fights, and calling out the undisputed champion, yet he's being dismissed by Jones as unexciting. Meanwhile, other contenders like Cyril Gane, Alexander Volkov, and rising prospects are stuck waiting for clarity. The MMA community has even started a petition urging Dana White to strip Jones of his title, something that would have been unthinkable just months ago.
Yeah, if we can't get this fight done, we'll move on quickly. Yeah, we'll have answers in the next couple weeks.
Dana White recently set a deadline for the Jones-Aspinall negotiations, but as GSP pointed out, young athletes have windows of opportunity. Every month this drags on is another month of prime athletic years wasted for the division's top contenders. GSP's own experience is telling here. When he couldn't commit to defending the middleweight title due to health issues, he immediately vacated it. He understood that champions have responsibilities beyond just holding gold. They have obligations to the sport and fellow fighters. The question now is whether the UFC will follow GSP's advice, give Jones what he wants, or move on without him. So where does this leave us? The heavyweight division stands at a crossroads, and the UFC faces a decision that could define the next era of the sport's premier weight class. If they cave to Jones's demands, they set a precedent that champions can hold divisions hostage for better deals. If they strip him and move forward with Aspinall, they lose one of their biggest stars, but potentially unlock a more active, exciting division.
What would it take to fight Tom Aspinall from the UFC? Like, what does the UFC got to do?
Said something real wild on off the cuff. I'll see you guys later.
That's it.
Yeah,
All right.
thanks for the happy
Jon
beer.
Jones, the legend.
Yeah.
Georges St-Pierre's intervention adds weight to the argument for action when one of the most respected champions in UFC history publicly calls for resolution. It's time to listen. The fans have spoken through their petition. Fellow fighters have expressed frustration. Media members are questioning the delay. Even GSP, known for his diplomacy, is applying pressure. Dana White's next move will be crucial. Will he heed GSP's warning and force a resolution, or will this heavyweight saga continue to drag on? The credibility of the championship and the health of the division may depend on his answer. That's tonight's Fight Night News, bringing you the latest on the Jon Jones heavyweight situation and Georges St-Pierre's powerful intervention. What do you think the UFC should do? Should they meet Jones' demands, or strip him and crown a new champion? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching Fight Night News. Keep training, keep fighting, and we'll see you next time when we bring you the latest from the world of mixed martial arts.
I saw that there was something. Do you see something online? There's like 150,000 petitions. Jon Jones vacates the title. But I guess people are waiting for I mean, you might have to make like an official retirement thing or like.
I'm a company guy, you know, and there's a lot of things that's happening behind the scenes where my job is just sit and be still and take the.
Jon Jones finally breaks his silence, and his message is loud and clear. In an interview with Full Send Podcast, the heavyweight champ said, "I'm a company guy, and there's a lot happening behind the scenes where my job is to sit, be still, and take the punishment. My job with the UFC is to do what's right for the company. I could easily say, I'm not fighting. My job is to chill, and that's what I'm doing."
Yeah, if we can't get this fight done, we'll move on quickly. Yeah, we'll have answers in the next couple weeks.
While Dana White sets deadlines and Tom Aspinall pushed for a title shot, Jones is calling the shots quietly behind the curtain. Is this loyalty or delay? Strategy or stalling? One thing's clear, Jon Jones is sending a warning. He's not moving unless it's on his terms. Let's start with the headline that's got everyone talking. Speaking on the Full Send Podcast, Jon Jones dropped this stunner. "I'm a company guy, and there's a lot of things that's happening behind the scenes where my job is to sit and be still and take the punishment."
I saw that there was something. Do you see something online? There's like 150,000 petitions. Jon Jones vacates the title. But I guess people are waiting for I mean, you might have to make like an official retirement thing or like.
I'm a company guy, you know, and there's a lot of things that's happening behind the scenes where my job is just sit and be still and take the.
Did you catch that? Jones is essentially saying his inactivity, which has now stretched his combat sports layoff by another 6 months, isn't about avoiding tough fights. According to him, he's taking a bullet for the UFC. But here's where it gets interesting, Jones continued. "My job with the UFC is to do what's right for the company. I could easily just say I'm not fighting. My job is to chill, and that's what I'm doing."
My job with the UFC is to do what's right for the company. I could easily just say I'm not fighting. My job is to chill. And that's what.
Now, this raises some serious questions. What exactly is happening behind the scenes? Is Dana White orchestrating something bigger? Or is this Jones' way of justifying what many fans see as ducking the most dangerous fight in the heavyweight division? The timing is particularly interesting, folks. While Jones sits on the sidelines with his super important plans, interim champion Tom Aspinall has become the longest-running interim title holder in UFC history. And according to reports, he's getting extremely bored waiting.
What did you think watching the fight? What's it been like to kind of hear the people do your bidding?
It's been great. Like, I seen these two guys yesterday, and these two guys were praising me, like, what a good job you've done this week. And I've got similar praise from other people, and it's like, I ain't done nothing. Like, everybody's done it for me, in all honesty. Like, this has been amazing. I just got to sit back, chill. Even tonight in the UFC Octagon, like, when Jon Jones started talking about retirement, he started talking about Alex Pereira, nothing, dead silence. As soon as he mentioned me, crowd erupted again. And I spoke to the UFC brass a little bit. I'm going to speak to him a little bit more. And in my opinion, obviously I'm a little bit biased, but I think this is the biggest heavyweight fight in UFC history, and this is what the people want to see.
Yes, it is.
What did you think watching the fight?
Speaking of Tom Aspinall, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The 32-year-old Brit isn't just sitting around collecting dust. He's been absolutely dominant, winning 11 of his last 12 fights, with his last 3 victories all coming by knockout. While Jones calls himself the ultimate troll and admits he's enjoying the fruits of his labor, Aspinall represents everything that should excite a true competitor. He's young, hungry, and arguably the most dangerous heavyweight on the planet right now. But here's Jones's take on the situation. Aspinall's just not in a position to excite me, it's just the truth. If I whoop his ass, it's going to be the next guy, a whole new fan base that everybody believes in. Jones went on to compare this to his legendary light heavyweight run, mentioning how he systematically defeated fan favorites like Rampage Jackson, Rashad Evans, and Lyoto Machida. He sees this as just another replay of the same story. But is it? At 37 years old, with his last fight being against a 42-year-old Stipe Miocic, some are questioning whether Jones is the same fighter who dominated the light heavyweight division for years. Perhaps the most concerning revelation from this interview wasn't about company loyalty or strategic planning, it was about Jones' passion for fighting itself. Listen to this carefully. I don't want to say that I'm retired because fighting's in my blood. Right now, I could really care less about fighting. I've been doing it my whole life at a very high level. Could really care less about fighting. Those are words no fight fan wants to hear from their champion.
Or like,
Good question.
everyone's wondering, is Jon Jones retired? Is he fighting again?
I don't want to say that I'm retired because fighting's in my blood. Right now, I could really care less.
Jones continued, when the itch comes back, and if it comes back, then I'll do it with my whole heart. But right now, I look around and realize what's true, what's real.
About fighting. I've been doing it my whole life at a very high level. And when the itch comes back, and if it comes back, then I'll do it with my whole heart. I'll do it to the best of my abilities. But right now, I look around and I realize what's true, what's real.
Notice he said if it comes back, not when it comes back. That's a significant distinction that suggests Jones might be closer to retirement than anyone realizes. Dana White has given Jones a deadline. He wants an answer about the Aspinall fight within the next couple of weeks. If Jones doesn't commit, White says he'll move on quickly and find Aspinall a different opponent.
What I'm about to ask you, you're not going to say is the beauty of what we do, because I know you're sick of the question. Does Jon Jones not want to fight, or does Jon Jones just not want to fight Tom Aspinall?
Listen, Jon Jones has been an interesting human being to deal with since the day he got here. But I will say this about him. You would never hear me out, talking about he's the GOAT and he's the this and he's the that if Jon Jones didn't want to fight people. Jon Jones has never, ever said, I'm afraid to fight this guy, or I don't like this fight for me, or any of that stuff.
So if, for instance, he doesn't fight this guy, who would you like to see him fight? Or are you going to wait until he fights this guy?
I don't know. We'll see how this thing plays out over the next couple weeks. But yeah, if we can't get this fight done, we'll move on quickly.
So what's the real story here? Let's analyze what we know. Jones is telling the truth. There's some master plan brewing behind the scenes at UFC headquarters, and his inactivity is part of a larger strategy. Maybe they're planning a massive card, waiting for the right opponent, or setting up something we haven't seen yet. This is elaborate excuse-making. Jones sees Aspinall as a legitimate threat to his legacy.